Welcome to the Plugged In Show. I'm Brett Eckleberry, and I'm joined today by Bob Hoos, Emily Chow, and Paul Acey. Well, we've hit episode 299 of the Plugged In Show. If you're counting at home, that means that collectively, at least, we've been doing this podcast for almost 6 years.
6 years.
Kind of crazy.
Some of our listeners are not even that old.
So in that time, thank
true.
you, Paul. In that time, we've talked a lot about entertainment, technology, and a little bit about our very strange jobs, too. But we still get plenty of questions about what we do, why we do it, and sometimes people, the listeners, write in to tell us just how very, very wrong we are at times. They disagree with us, right?
Indeed.
So with the Plugged In Show coming to a close, this felt like just a good opportunity to pull out some of the questions and comments that we've been sent and address them as best as we can. And you know what else tries to answer burning question, Paul?
What does?
Documentaries.
There you go.
Yes, and with focus on the family and the Colson Center's own documentary called Truth Rising, set to debut online September 5th, we thought we'd talk about documentaries themselves. Why do people make them? Why do we watch them? And what makes a good one? So that's what we got on the docket. But we cannot forget, at the very end, we are going to unveil some of the show's most embarrassing moments. We saved it for the very end.
So excited about
So
that.
thoughtfully saved, these moments thoughtfully saved and curated by our engineer extraordinaire, Laura Kennedy.
Now, what I want to know is it full of bleeps?
We're going to find out. We're going to find out together. So buckle up.
Depends on if Brett's on the podcast or not.
Well, we'll
Yeah,
find out. You got to stay
'Cause
till the end for
he's
that
the
one.
you gotta watch out.
That's right. That's right. So buckle up for the Plugged In Show's blooper reel at the end of the show. But we'll kick things off. So speaking of potentially awkward, embarrassing moments,
Oh, yes.
we'll kick things off with our icebreaker. So guys, I want to know, what is the weirdest thing? We go to a lot of movie screenings for our job. So what's the weirdest thing that you've experienced, either at a movie screening or just at a theater in general? Who wants to start?
So I actually have two stories, but I'm only going to share one
Okay.
because the other one may not be appropriate.
We'll put that into the blooper reel.
Yeah,
I
we'll
guess,
put that
right?
into the
What theater
blooper
were you
reel.
actually at in that?
Oh no.
Oh my goodness.
There's another
Mr.
blooper.
Hoos.
Theater to
Mr.
avoid.
Hoos. So it happened while I was screening, and I hope I haven't shared this story before, but it happened while I was at a screening for Brave. You know, Brave had just come out, the Pixar movie, really great movie, underrated, I think. Sitting down, watching it, enjoying it, you know, thinking, okay, this is the Pixar is still pretty good. And then right about the time when Merida's mom, if you're familiar with the movie, Merida's mom turns into a bear.
Right.
And toward the end, she turns into a real bear, like a real mean bear. And right about the time when that happened, I noticed that there was just sort of something that sort of went across the screen, like in a downward motion. And then I heard, ow, ah. Part of the ceiling had fallen in on the third row.
Okay.
Oh no.
Ow.
Yeah, it was a little awkward. Yet because you just saw these chunks of like drywall falling down, and no one was hurt as far as I know. And
that's good.
They actually didn't even
Was
stop
there
the
a real
movie.
bear falling
Paul
into,
was
into the
yeah,
theater?
no,
or
Paul
something?
thought this is super immersive.
Yeah.
Wow, this is
Because it was
another level.
really
How did they
intense.
do this? They actually brought a bear in.
Yeah, so that was
Wow.
probably one of the more interesting things to have happened for me.
Wow.
Well, I've got one. This one wasn't necessarily weird, but interesting. It was an interesting thing, and I may be completely wrong on it. By the way, I happen to be. I mean, in my interpretation may be completely false, but in any case, I was at a screening, and just for people at home, when we do a movie screening in advance, it's set up by a company that represents the producer that is creating a film, and they hire this company to put on the screenings for reviewers, and they usually open it to the crowd, to the public as well. And generally, they want us to come out after the film, after we've seen it, and give them some viewpoints.
Yeah,
sure.
How did we
Yeah.
how did we like it? What did we think was good or bad? Anyway, I came out of a screening I had reviewed Magic Mike. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I came
Thanks
out.
for taking that bullet.
Yeah, and it was directed by Steven Soderbergh. Yeah, and I came out and I swore. I mean, my mind told me that was Steven Soderbergh over there, because you had the reps who were ready for us to give comments, and they had this guy, this bald guy with little glasses, behind them, sort of off to the side. Nobody else was around him, and I thought, that's Steven Soderbergh.
Yeah, he'd totally be out in public without a bodyguard or anything.
But you know, the fact is that at some of these screenings, we've had stars sort of secretly sitting in the back. I mean, you know, where stars of the film, now usually they're smaller films, but I thought, is it possible that the director came in and is sort of standing off to the side to hear what people think about his film? And the problem is I couldn't go up to him and say anything because I hated his film. And I mean, that was the problem. I mean,
you totally could have. It just might have been a little rude.
I could ask the rep, is that the director? But, you know, the fact is I would have had to say something about his film, and I wanted to get in and out of there as quickly as possible. Because,
Right.
you know, you hate going out after seeing a film and saying, well, that was the biggest piece of junk I've ever seen in my life. And especially if the director's there.
Yeah.
You could have gone up to him and said, let me tell you what you should have done with this.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
would have...
I hate to
Going
say
over
it, but
great.
I probably wouldn't have been so kind. I would have said what I felt. And,
Yeah.
But because in my humble opinion, I think that if you can't take criticism, you might be in the wrong industry.
Of course, if it wasn't Steven Soderbergh and I went up and started telling him about his film, the guy
He
would have
would've
said, what?
I just
What are
want
you
to get
talking to
home.
me
I'm just waiting for my wife. She's right on.
What are you doing? What are you
leave me
talking
alone.
about?
Anyway, so it was
It's funny.
it was just one of those moments where your brain goes, what? And you know,
Yeah,
it could have been totally false. I'd never met Steven Soderbergh, so I don't know.
So my other story, just to let you know, it involved a Magic Mike movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Magic
good
Mike 2, which I reviewed.
Yeah.
So, but that's
Again, thank you for
another
taking
story.
that bullet.
That's another story.
All right, Emily, how about you?
Okay, so this is kind of funny. My very first movie screening, that I was not even the one reviewing it. I was shadowing Kristen Smith, one of our former reviewers, and so she and we go to the theater. And we walk inside, and I'm just kind of following Kristen. This was not one of those pre-screenings that Hoos just described. This is one where we actually had to go buy the ticket to see the movie, you know, because they didn't have anything available for
sometimes it
us
happens.
beforehand. And so yeah, we go into the theater and we sit down and we're waiting for it to start, and we start noticing all these like families coming in. Now, this is the movie we're going to see is an R-rated film, and it's like a gory action flick, right? So we were like, why are there like grandparents in here with their children, their grandchildren? Like,
All
why
these people need plugged in.
like
Yeah, no
little
kidding.
kids, seriously, like little kids. And you know, we, not gonna lie, me and her, we kind of look at each other like, okay, that's a choice. And you know, we were being a little judgmental, we admit that. And then so then the previews start, and it's all like family movies, and we were like, man, this is really weird. Why are they showing like previews for family movies for such a hard film, you know? Like, that's really unusual. And then da 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 da, we were in the wrong theater. We were supposed to be in a movie called Anna. We walked into Aladdin. So yeah, no, we had walked into the wrong theater. She'll admit this, and she may have admitted this on a previous episode. Let us know if she has. But yeah, apparently she saw the A, you know, listed on the theater. Like, we didn't even look at the theater number. she just saw A and was like, that must be it, and walked in. Nope, it was Aladdin. We were in the wrong theater. So then, of course, you know, she bolted, and I was like, what is even happening? Because she was like, I'm in the wrong theater. I'm missing the movie.
Yeah, right.
So of course, like, it was really funny that when I finally found the right theater, because like I said, she bolted, kind of left me in the lurch. But But yeah, so I get in there. She hadn't even sat down. She just had her notebook out, and she's like frantically taking notes of the first because we had missed the first 5 minutes already. And she's like, she hadn't even had a chance to sit down. She just started writing notes as soon as she got into the theater. So she's like standing in the aisle.
So you're saying that on that review there might have been some redeeming moments that you missed.
No,
Yeah,
she went,
right at the beginning.
She went back and she watched. She basically went up to the front of the theater and asked them if they would let her watch the first 5 minutes of the
really?
film, and they let her.
Ah.
Although I tell you, I have been at screenings where little kids have been in the movie screening, and I've thought, what are they doing here?
Oh yeah.
When it was actually the movie that I was supposed to be watching.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And sometimes you wonder, who has the judgment to say, sure, I'm going to take my my little kid to some horror movie, where people are being sliced and diced.
Yeah, yeah.
Man. So I haven't been doing this quite as long as you guys. I haven't gone to as many movie screenings. So all of the ones, as I was thinking through this, all the screenings have been pretty normal, I think. But just in terms of my movie-going experience, 2 instances that come to mind, and they happened in the exact same theater. Literally the same auditorium of the same theater, too. So the first one, I was seeing the last Harry Potter movie with some friends, and the sound cut out midway through the movie. And so we watched like 30 minutes of pantomime. And then,
Get your money
and
back?
yeah, no, it was a
So
long
did
time.
You were there
we
the
were just
half hour.
there the entire half hour, just watching.
Did you just pull out
soundless?
the book?
No, just watching. Then they rewound the film. Then the picture cut out, so we got to hear the audio playing
Without the
the
Man.
picture. It's like, well, at least we saw the picture before.
Somebody got fired that day.
I don't know. And so then they rewound it again, got it right. So
my
watched the movie, but it was about an extra hour that we got to see of this
my
movie.
goodness.
And then the second one, it was a different movie, but I swear that I saw a rat the size of a house cat walking down the aisle of this movie theater.
Oh my goodness.
And so my friend and I we lost our minds. We stayed, we finished the movie, but
I would have noped out of there
that
so
that
fast.
became just such a running joke for us moving forward after that.
Well,
Wow,
I
we
went
saw
to
the
a-
Rat King.
I went to a movie once where the projectionist. This is back when they actually had reels, and they would put one reel on, and then as it got close, they had a different camera, and they turned that camera on and take the reel. All that stuff. Anyway, I went to where they got the reels mixed up.
Oh,
And they showed the movie out of sync, and I was watching thinking, this is the oddest movie. I thought that guy had already died. Where'd he come from? I mean, it was really, really strange.
no, my dad he's told me a story about that where he went to a drive-in movie theater and something similar happened where they saw the scene where this cowboy movie where this guy's his horse died in the desert and it was really sad. And then they flipped the wrong reel and the horse was back. all of a sudden.
That's sort of a feel-good movie all of a sudden.
Yeah,
That's great.
I guess maybe they felt it was too sad, so they had to.
They really should have done that with the Never-Ending Story, don't you think?
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
I don't
Maybe
know,
Magic
so.
Mike.
Oh my
I don't know.
goodness. Anyway.
You know, I can't help but wonder, like, seriously, who was, like, not paying attention? Because, like, it's one thing to, put the wrong reel on there. It's another thing to just sit there and be like, yep, this seems normal. Like, at that point, you've usually seen the movie
Well-
a few times. Like, you know something's off.
Do
Like,
they watch it is the question.
Well,
or
that's
they
No.
just flip it on and walk out.
Yeah, in some cases, I think no. They've probably seen it a couple times already. So, all right.
Like I said, somebody got fired that day.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's dive in. So, several weeks ago, we asked our Facebook audience about a specific time, when they may have disagreed with us and why. So we've queued up a few of those responses, and we'll try to answer them as best we can. And some of our audience have offered some helpful feedback in other forums too. We've also got just a lot more general questions over the years. So we wanted to take this opportunity to make this episode kind of a mailbag episode. So while we won't be able to answer every question that we've been sent, we will try to get to a lot of them. So we're just going to jump in and anyone that wants to take these questions, jump in, let's do this. So the first question, and these first two are ones that we've gotten a lot. So we've kind of distilled the question here. Let's just say that. So the first one is the numerical ratings that we used to put in on our movies. We've had people say, I miss the rating you used to give. One reader wrote this on Facebook. I always started there, then read on to see why would you give a movie a 3 or a 4 out of 5. Why did we take away those ratings?
Well, you mentioned somebody who used to look at them and then say, well, why did they make that choice? And that is really the reason. Not because of reasoned readers like him or her, but because of everyone else who just looks at the number and goes, oh, okay, well, sure, I'll take my family. It's a 4, no sweat. Well, the fact is that what we were afraid of is that those numbers would be such a shorthand to saying yes or no that they wouldn't find out the details about the movie itself. And let's face it, there are some movies that, depending on your frame of view, or your perspective, you could say, well, a 3 might be okay with my family, but there could be content in there that your family
There wouldn't be, yeah.
is going to be going, over, because, well, why are those points being cut off? And we just thought that kind of shorthand didn't serve the audience well. And so that's why we got rid of it.
I think you hit it right on the nail right there. It's very subjective. What's a 3 for me could be a 0 for another family. It could be, there's just certain content things that, one family will breeze right over, doesn't even impact them. They don't even bat an eye because it's not a problem in their family. Like one sensitive topic that I've heard come up a lot recently from people responding to messages and stuff on Facebook is alcoholism. For a family who has not been impacted by that, they're probably not going to think a lot about it. Like if adults are having wine at the dinner table, they're fine with it. They don't question it. But for somebody who might be struggling with that could be really hard to see it just so casually, like it just put into a movie where, there's no insidious intent behind it, but it really hits them because that's what they're struggling with, So I think that, the numerical system is so subjective. And even from one reviewer to the next, I might sit there and be like, you know what? I give this one a 3.5. And then Who's might look at me and be like, are you crazy? That one gets a 1.
Even things like language.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. In some kids' movies, we might sort of slide past somebody calling somebody else stupid or something like that, and it's no big deal. And so from a numerical perspective, we might not knock it down for that. However, a family who goes to see this movie, if they see that we've listed someone calling somebody stupid, they might say, well, I don't want my children doing that. And so that would be a big thing for them. And rightfully so. It's their choices. And I think that really is the key. What we do at Plugged In is not about telling people whether to go see something or not. It's about talking about quality, but also talking about what's in there. And then they can evaluate whether the thing is worth a 3 or a 2 or a 1, So
here's actually a perfect example. I have 2 older sisters, both have kids. One of them started letting her 9-year-old watch a show on Netflix called 7 Bears. And the other one, who has a 4-year-old, was like, so she started watching it too, and she turned it off. And she went back to the other sister and she said, I don't think you should be letting your 9-year-old watch this. There's a ton of, I'm going to say bathroom humor. But basically she was like, there's like scenes where the bears are like, they're trying to, they're bears. So they're trying to scratch their behinds. So they all push their behinds together and start scratching. Like, it's not like sexual or anything like that, but it's something where she doesn't want her 4-year-old to think that is normal for her to then go and imitate. She doesn't want her 4-year-old rubbing behinds with anybody as like a joke. No, or seriously though, it's that kind of thing where it's like, okay, some people may have breezed right over that, but she really took it to heart. And, she's usually not that sensitive about things like that, but it really impacted her. And she was like, I'm not going to let my 4-year-old watch this because I think that'll put her in danger, potentially. And whereas the other one was like, I'm fine with my 9-year-old watching this. And they're from the same family, these are sisters. So.
Yeah. Okay. So the next question we've got, is one person said, I do not feel that Plugged In should be having their editors review R-rated movies that are explicit in sin, especially in regards to movies like 50 Shades of Grey, etc. So why should reviewers be subject to the sinful content to tell us what we should and shouldn't watch? So why do we review R-rated movies anyway? Paul, I'll let you take this one.
This is always a tricky question. We go to see a lot of these movies because we know that the people who come to us see them too. We really feel, I think, called to speak into some dark places, right? I think that oftentimes we know that our reviews are not really just about, okay, am I going to go to this? Am I not going to go to this? Some people check out our reviews afterward. And so sometimes we actually, at least sometimes when I'm writing a review, I keep that person in mind. And if they see a movie, if they decide to see a movie that we would definitely not want them going to, I want to plant some seeds of thought into their head as to what they've seen, why they are drawn to it, all of these kinds of things. And I think that that's an important element of our job, right? Now when it comes to the 50 Shades of the world, there are some movies that we actually have decided not to review. You won't find a 50 Shades review on our website. But we do step into some areas that can be uncomfortable. And one of the things that we really take very seriously is how we deal with those movies, right? We pray about it beforehand. We do research beforehand. The fact that we're in a theater taking notes as opposed to just watching what we're seeing can help sort of protect us a little bit. And I think
a little more clinical in that way.
It feels a little more clinical. Yeah. The other thing is we're very mindful, I think, of each other's sensitivities, right? There are certain people who I don't feel comfortable sending to a spiritual R-rated horror movie, so I send Hoos to all of those.
Every single one.
He can take it.
Trust me.
But so we're mindful of those sensitivities. We're mindful of what bothers us, and we try to match reviewers to the movies that we think they can navigate the best.
Okay. So speaking to that, maybe give a little more detail as how you assign movies, TV shows, all the things that we do review each and every week.
Well, begging
first,
and bribery.
He gives himself all of the superhero movies.
All the best stuff.
Everything
Paul
is
says,
really
that's
good.
mine.
You can
That's
bet Paul's
first.
there.
That's his first thing. Is does he want to go see? No, I'm kidding.
So let me see. What can I give myself this week?
I mean, when I see a trailer, for example, and I think, man, that looks really terrible. The second thought I think is, I'll be reviewing that.
I got to give Paul some kudos. He did take the bullet on reviewing The Summer I Turned Pretty recently. So
man, what a painful review. And you got to see Superman. So
I saw Superman.
So all right. So how do we assign movies? That's always a tricky thing, right? Because there are certain movies that everybody wants to see. And I am sensitive to, what people would really like to see. Freaky Friday. Freakier Friday. I got a special request from one of our reviewers to see that, and it felt
shall
like
not
a good.
Remain nameless. It was me.
Oh, I thought it was Brett.
Oh, well, I did too, but I got rejected. So.
Yeah. But a lot of times it might be based on who is sort of an expert in this field, right? Like if they've read a book that a movie is based on, or if they are really in tune with the genre that it's about.
So you're gonna give me all the murder mysteries, right? Like I keep waiting for it, and it keeps not happening, and I don't know what to make of that.
We're working on it. Now. So that's one of the things, and then sometimes it's really just a matter of luck of the draw. I mean, for lack of a better word, and I do try to, as much as maybe it sometimes doesn't always seem like it, I do try to sort of balance out like really big movies and really horrible movies that I know no one on the team wants to watch.
Sure.
Well, I think also some of it is just basic scheduling.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes that, like, for example, Smurfs. I was not originally slated to review Smurfs. But then there was a scheduling conflict, and so it fell on my shoulders, just sometimes it's just basic scheduling.
Yeah.
I think another thing worth mentioning is the fact that a lot of times we will have some reviewers double up.
Yeah.
So you'll have a reviewer go in and review it, but have somebody else cover too. Now, why? Why would we do that? Well, to be honest, an extra set of eyes can catch extra things.
Right.
But also, you were talking about things that we have a certain tendency to appreciate or some experience with. Like I've done a lot of musical theater, and so often I've been assigned some musical things, but that can also be a cloud. That can be where I'll go into a musical theater production and think, ooh, I'll be thinking about the music and this is wonderful, this is fabulous, and then
Right.
maybe overlook some of the aspects of that musical, like Wicked, for example. The last Wicked, I was pretty glowing about that particular musical, and then somebody doubled it. Was it Adam?
I think it was Adam, yeah.
And he pointed out some things, and I thought, oh yeah, that's true. We should emphasize that a little bit more. Even though I love musicals, some of those elements need to be re-emphasized. So that's another part of what we do too, to make sure that we're double checking, that we're always trying to get as much of the content as possible and let our audience know.
And that's a really good point, because it's sort of a weird balance, right? We review movies for a living, and that's naturally a fun job, right? But I do believe that when we are real fanboys of a particular thing, it can cloud our judgment. So you want to have knowledge of what we're reviewing,
Right.
but maybe not an overarching passion where we're going to be ignoring certain content.
Sure. There is some subjectivity that's just going to come with anyone
Right,
watching a review,
absolutely.
right? But we do our best to try to remain objective in a lot of ways, particularly the content issues, that's why you said occasionally we'll have people double up on like a big movie, other things like that. And we do give Paul a hard time, but he does a pretty good job with the assignments. We always get a mix of movies that we're maybe more interested in and others that we never would have seen in our lives had we not been working for Plugged In.
It's
But
like you
I will
literally
say,
had to pay me to go to some movies.
right. But I will say, some of the most fun conversations that we have had as a team afterwards has been ripping apart a movie
Oh,
that
yeah.
we did not like.
Like Superman. For
Oh
example.
my
That
goodness.
was just you.
Just you, Mr. Rose.
All right. Another commenter asked us, The Chosen. It goes against scripture in so many ways and is a big red flag. So why are we so generally positive, I would say, about The Chosen from a Plugged In perspective?
It's a great question, right? I think that when we come into shows like The Chosen, we know we're sort of walking into a little bit of a minefield. We know that there's going to be a lot of strong feelings in a lot of different directions. And as you were mentioning just a few seconds ago, Brett, this is kind of subjective stuff that we do. We try to let people know kind of what's in a movie. We let them know what they might need to be aware of for their families, for themselves, all that kind of stuff. And with The Chosen, we were very, very well aware, even when it started 7 years ago, that there were going to be people in our audience that, because they were adding to Scripture, essentially filling in some of the blanks that maybe Scripture leaves, it was going to be a huge problem. And I think we've really tried to acknowledge that as much as we can. And there are people on our team who have a greater sensitivity to that, and so they bring that element to the table. But there's other of us, and I'll lump myself in here, who really appreciate sort of bringing some of these stories to life, In all, I want to be really gracious, because I think that the idea that adding stuff to biblical stories is nothing that you should do lightheartedly. It's nothing you should do without a lot of thought. And I really appreciate and I acknowledge that people who say, this is not for me, they have all the right in the world to say, this is not for me.
Yeah, totally.
But I know that The Chosen has brought a lot of people in deeper into the original scripture, and I think that that's a positive thing as well. And I think that when I've seen the acting, the level of acting, when I've seen the level of production, when I've seen sort of the artistry behind The Chosen, I think that it's a step forward for me.
Another reason why we don't rely solely on numbers,
Right.
Or don't
That's
want
Right,
to.
I was going to
exactly
mention this
right.
too.
And,
Yep.
and why we had these sections and we try and lay out as much detail as we can,
Right.
because it's going to hit people in different ways.
And we want to help people make the decision for themselves.
And I think everything you just said applies to literally every Christian project that we review, every Christian movie. Sometimes I may review a Christian movie and think that it is just aesthetically terrible. But, where I just think their artistry is, not good. Let's put it that way. But some of the content, some of the things they're saying,
The message,
in there,
yeah.
the message that's behind it all, sort of mitigates a lot of that. And so you have to have that give and take with what the end product is.
So I haven't seen The Chosen yet because I haven't been assigned to review it, and I just haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah.
But I will say that based on what I've seen, based on what I've heard, I'm somebody who's very interested in history and culture. And so for me, the draw of a show like The Chosen, even if I knew there were biblical inaccuracies, seeing it on screen gives you a different perspective. It could help you understand, the culture a little bit better of that time period and that location of the world, region of the world. I think that it really helps to just have a picture where it's like, oh, I can see what kind of landscape they lived in. This is the geography that they were experiencing. This is the political things they were experiencing.
Yeah.
These are there are just little nuanced things that, if you know your Bible really well, yes, you do understand some of these things, but you might not think about them when you're reading about Jesus. You might not think about the Jewish culture as much. There are things in the Bible where I know that this has significance, but I don't know why. Why would they bring up a specific detail? Well, usually it's because there was something culturally happening or geographically or politically
Right.
that little detail in the Bible actually had significance,
Yeah.
but I forgot what it was in the grand scheme of things because because I don't have, the history completely lined up with what's happening in the Bible, or because something was mentioned about the culture that I had forgotten. So I think that having a show like The Chosen, which has been made by people who, I'm not saying that there wouldn't be inaccuracies even in this stuff, but it does kind of help it paint a better picture. And I feel like it help you to understand what's being said in the Bible just a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely could add some depth and even a different way of thinking
It makes
about
it feel
yeah.
more real
Yeah.
in a way because you're seeing it play out on screen.
All right, so we have a few more questions that we'll just go rapid fire through the rest of the way.
Oh, okay.
So we've had many people write in and ask us, do you take notes during a movie? I can answer that, yes.
Yes.
But how?
Got a notebook and you're literally doing this number where your head is going up, down, up, down, up, down the whole movie. And we usually have a flashlight in our hands or a pen light or something small that you can kind of cover it up so you're not disturbing other moviegoers. We each have different styles of note taking, which I won't comment on here. But yeah, you just take your notes. You take your notebook, your flashlight, and your pen, and you just go for it.
Write furiously.
I recently was gifted a remarkable paper. I don't know if you guys have heard about it, but it's basically a tablet, and it's just like paper and it feels like paper.
It is
but
the coolest thing ever.
Wow.
But it's got like this little backlit thing, and you can adjust how bright or how dim it is, and I can take notes without a flashlight.
They let you take that into the theater?
They
Okay,
have.
now I might need to
No,
go.
I have to always get a seat on the far edge so I can sort of hide it from everybody.
Yeah.
Because you
It's a
don't want
game
it to be
changer,
too
though.
bright and this
Right.
tablet glowing in the night.
Right. That's always a trick. Okay, another question. When you do show reviews, how can I tell how far in the series you have watched, especially when there are multiple seasons? And this was from a user named Chelsea.
I can answer this one again. So if you go down to our episode reviews, which most of our newer reviews will have episodic reviews.
On our TV shows, yeah.
Yes, on our TV shows. So it'll say, so it'll have the date that the episode was released on TV or streaming platform, and then it'll usually say like S1E1. Well, that stands for season 1, episode 1, and then it'll have the name of the episode. On our older reviews, we didn't always have the episodic stuff, but it'll say, there's usually a line right at the bottom where it says episodes reviewed, and it'll have the dates of the episodes that they reviewed. So between our older reviews and our newer reviews, that is the easiest way to figure out how many seasons we've gone into.
Yep. Excellent. Jet asks, when do you usually view the movies? Is it early access?
We hope so.
It's best if it is. That gives us time to actually write the review.
Yeah, so it's an interesting combination, right? Sometimes we get screeners, especially if we're working with a Christian studio. Oftentimes they will send us screeners maybe a month in advance.
Yeah, we've gotten more since COVID. When the COVID thing and nobody was going to theaters or anything, we had a lot of screeners.
Yeah, and that's always the best way because I type out my notes, and that means I can actually read them. So that's always great. But generally speaking, I would say that we go to early screeners, and those typically take place about 60 miles up out of Colorado Springs up to Denver. We typically get to see them maybe 3 days in advance on average, I would say, which is still a pretty quick turnaround just to get what we need to get done. But it is very nice to be able to see a lot of the movies early.
Gives us more time to get the review done before the movie comes out,
Right.
so people have the information they need to decide whether they're gonna see it or not.
Right, exactly.
Okay, next question. Marissa asked, does your team have a list of like the top 100 movies to watch with your young kids that are Christian friendly?
No, so this again sort of gets back to the numerical ratings in a way, and we're slowly pushing, I think, a little bit closer to putting together, compiling some of these lists.
Yeah.
But we're very aware that we really want parents to make their own decisions. We know that parents are often being told what's best for their kids, right? Be it by the government, the school, blah 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 blah. There's And I think that the decision should always rest with the parents. When it comes to sometimes the numerical ratings, sometimes when it comes to these lists, it can feel a little like we're saying, this is what your kids should watch. And I know that's really valuable to a lot of parents, but we really want to protect a parent's right to choose what's best for their families.
Because we may not represent
Exactly.
You will know your kids best. I will highlight the Plugged In Movie Awards that we do each year. We try to pick out what we feel are the best picks for different age categories, including kiddos. So that would be a place to look if you want a list of some of the movies that Plugged In has reviewed.
Within the context of the PIMAs as well.
But I would also say those are all movies that Plugged In has reviewed. So you can actually go in, and if you're interested in it, you can read the full review and find out exactly what is in it. So you're not going to be surprised if there's something there that you might not want your kids to see.
That's absolutely right. And I do think that we're pushing more and more into that area where we do have the Plugged In Movie Awards. We do have some list sickles, we call them, where we talk about 7 great football movies you can watch with your family.
I think the most recent one was baseball.
Right.
We talked about I think it was 7 movies about baseball that you can watch with your family. And in that list, you detailed, if there were content concerns to look out for, you mentioned it, you know. And of course, you had links to all of our full reviews and that's what we always say whenever we create a list. It's just, before you decide to watch any of these, read the full review. We'll mention some of the major content concerns in that list, but in general, you still need to go read the review to make sure it's right for your family.
Right.
What did you call the Easter movie playoffs thing?
Oh, yeah, Christian Movie Madness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
That's
another
another good
sort of list of good films.
No, and that's
Top
an illustration.
64 Christian movies.
Yeah, that our audience voted on. Voted for the best, yeah.
And here's an interesting thing about that one is that we weren't the ones who chose. We weren't saying these are the best Christian movies, 64 Christian movies. We really went right by what their box office take was, you know, because we wanted to take ourselves out of the equation a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, this will be the last question. We'll wrap up here for our mailbag. Would you ever accept kids' reviews?
That'd be really
from
cute.
from kids.
From
writing
kids,
reviews.
yeah.
I would love
Kids
to
writing
do that.
reviews.
I
We've
would
gotten
love
that-
to put that together.
We've gotten some questions like that. We have some passionate younger kids.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Well,
It is pretty
I
cool.
met one at a theater, as a matter of fact, a kid who was writing his own reviews for social media.
Oh, that's cool.
And he was there with his mom, and I met he and his mom, and it was really cool talking to them about his criteria and what he looked for in films.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would have ever invited him necessarily to
I
to
will-
write one for Plugged In.
I will say that some of the messages that we've received from our younger plugged-in fans, man, I've been impressed. I was like, this kid writes better than
You
I
have
do.
to,
Like,
well, you do have to look up some of the words that they use, and you just have to say,
Isn't that a good thing?
Those are the homeschool kids. They have a little bit wider of a vocabulary.
yeah. Okay. Well, we'll go. You want to add something?
I do want to
Go
add
for it.
something because I do think, in a way, it would be a great thing to experiment with, you know, because I think that parents often tell their kids, okay, let's look at Plugged In. It would be an interesting exercise if we could figure out how to do that, because it's a great way for kids to learn about what makes a good movie and what they need to be aware of, you know, when they watch it. You know, I think that we might experiment with that down the road. Who knows?
Stay tuned to pluggedin.com and
No, it's another thing
you'll
that,
see
if
it
nothing
somewhere
else,
maybe.
a parent could do with their child.
That's
You
true.
know, we're going to go to the movie, and today you're going to review it, and that's opens the door to discussing what the movie's talking about.
That's pretty cool, and that's something we want to help families do. Right? Is think critically about the entertainment that they're consuming, it, and that would be a great way for even young kids to be able to kind of start thinking about, okay, what is this movie saying? What is this movie telling me? Right? All right. Well, we'll wrap up the mailbag there. Thank you so much to our audience for submitting questions and comments as well. Ever since we've spread the word that the Plugged In show is coming to a close, we have received just a ton of really, really wonderful, encouraging comments from people who have enjoyed the show. Just know that we've been greatly encouraged by all of those that you've sent in. So we thank you.
And we don't want them
so
to
much.
stop
No,
mailing, you know?
exactly right. And so we're moving more over to the YouTube space, which we want to have conversations just like this and continue to have these conversations. So come see us over there, and we want to definitely have a lot of communication with our audience there as well. But that's where we'll wrap up the mailbag for this episode.
Abner, I am sick and tired of crawling through all this heather.
Not much longer, Molly. I know we're getting close to finding a leprechaun. I just know it. And if we catch one, our worries will be over.
Darling, leprechauns are mythological holdovers from pre-Christian civilizations. You can't catch them. You can't even see them. They don't exist, Abner.
But of course they do, Molly. Don't be such a milquetoast. Mark my words, this trip to Ireland will go down in history as the best decision I've ever made.
That's not such a high bar, you know.
Eh.
Remember the time you sunk your IRA money into magic beans? Or the time you took home that goose from the park because you assumed it could lay golden eggs?
Well, at least the goose itself turned out to be gold and brown and...
And don't even get me started on the monkey paw you brought home. Abner, if we ever find the money to fly home again, I'm going to...
Shh. Look over there. In that field of shamrocks. See?
See what?
A leprechaun. Now stay right here, Molly. Not a word. I'm going to creep over there step by step.
Hey, fella, what's the big idea? Grab me by the ankle like that?
A leprechaun, Molly. I caught a leprechaun.
Quit pinching, you just. Fine, you caught me. You don't need to hold on like the whole island needs to know. What's the big deal anyway?
Well, what's the deal? I caught you.
So? So what?
So what? You got to give me all your gold. That's what.
Gold? Good luck with that. Sank it all in Blockbuster a couple decades ago. Whatever was left, I invested in Beanie Babies.
So, you don't have any gold?
Not so much as a tooth, but between you and me, I got something better.
What?
This book.
Becoming a screen-savvy family by the Plugged-In team?
Pretty great, isn't it? It's full of lethal advice on how to navigate entertainment and technology in this crazy world of ours. Why? Me and my boys, we sit around the campfire and read this book together every evening. More precious than gold, I tell you.
But wait a minute. Wait 1 minute. I could have gotten a copy of Becoming a Screen-Savvy Family without catching a leprechaun. All I needed to do was send a gift of any amount to the Plugged-In team.
Yeah, all we needed to do was check this episode's show notes to find out how.
A trip to Ireland. Entirely wasted. Is there nothing else you can give us?
Well, you want some Beanie Babies?
On September 5th, Focus on the Family and the Colson Center will be releasing a documentary called Truth Rising. You can find more information about the film and watch its premiere at truthrising.com. So, guys, Truth Rising is really designed to motivate Christians to act in an increasingly murky culture. So, we'll start there. Most people think that documentaries are meant to educate us, but a lot of them want to spur their audiences into action as well, right?
I would say every single one of them.
I wouldn't.
I would.
You don't?
Okay.
I disagree with that.
Really?
All right.
Okay,
give us the pro case.
Well, the reason I say that is because if they're going to make the documentary, it's because whoever's making it, it's because whatever the object or the issue is, they're interested in it. They're so interested in it that they want to promote it to the world around them. So that's why I think, well, and I think personally, I believe that everything we watch has some kind of message in there. Everything we watch has a message that says, pay attention, think about this.
So I would agree with that last part of your statement, but I don't think, like, when we're talking about documentaries, a lot of them do come with a very, they want to get their viewers involved with whatever issue they're dealing with. But my favorite documentaries have often been much more educational, if you will. For instance, there was a great documentary a few years ago called The Truffle Hunters that just talked about these ancient French people who would go around the countryside with their dogs looking for these truffles.
So they were all ancient?
They were, almost all of them were like over the age of 80. And there was a great scene where one of the wives of one of these truffle hunters says, "You can't keep doing this. You're going to break a hip. You're going to get lost in the woods."
Truffle hunting's dangerous business.
And the last scene was watching this 85-year-old guy crawling out the window so that he wouldn't wake up his wife so he could hunt truffles. And so you have...
I'm glad it ended that way because I thought you were going to have him crawling out because he broke a hip.
Yeah, I thought so. That's where you're going too. The hunt goes on though. That's crawling out the window.
You know, and there
sneaking.
was a great documentary about Mr. Rogers that came out a number of years ago that I just thought was fabulous. And, you know, you could make an argument that those do have a point of view. Can we all be more like Mr. Rogers?
Sure.
But at the same time, it does feel a little bit more educational. You know, this is something, the point of view is really, this is something you should know about just because it might make you just a little bit happier.
So Paul has skipped ahead on our questions a little bit. So we'll just jump into it. So Emily and Bob, what are your favorite documentaries?
I don't really have a favorite documentary. I don't really watch a ton of documentaries. I do, which
I think that's fair.
I have a college
some of our
professor who
listeners
would probably he'd probably just croak right now if he found that out because I literally took multiple classes about documentary filmmaking when I was in college.
And you made your own?
I did.
Well, that was my favorite right there.
Okay.
There you go.
The
All
Face
right.
in the Courthouse Window.
Nice. Oh, I like that title.
Little piece of Alabama history for you. And let me just say, the small town where it takes place, literally in the middle of nowhere. Like, you drive for miles and you do not see another town for a long time. It's a little scary.
We need to have a plugged-in screening of
We
this
do
documentary.
need to.
That
I would love to see this.
That would be
I would
fun.
show it to you guys.
Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah,
interesting. It's family it's got some intense themes because it does deal with like some racial history and such in Alabama. So I mean, you can imagine. But I mean, other than that, it's very family friendly. There's no foul language or anything. So
All right.
Yeah, my youngest daughter made a documentary / sort of commercial sort of thing about a pizza
Cool.
place that I really enjoyed too. But I'm sort of in the same boat. I don't watch a lot of documentaries. First of all, we don't review them, and
Not
so,
very often. Every
yeah.
once in a while.
I mean, if it's a really hot potato kind of documentary that everybody's talking about, we may. But and so because I don't have to review it, I don't watch.
Well, let me give you another recommendation.
Okay.
Truffle Hunters.
The Truffle Hunters is a great one. But there, and I don't even know how to pronounce this. It was a documentary that really should have won the Oscar for Best Doc a number of years ago. And it's Kedi, Kedi, something like that. It's about the cats of Istanbul. And apparently Istanbul is famous for these stray cats, or they have pseudo owners that just sort of watch them. They come in and out of the windows. It's really about the lives of these cats and how they have all these really unique personalities.
That sounds like just like a nice warm movie that you just like. You love cats, and so you just sit there with your coffee in front of a fireplace with a blankie, and you just watch that like on a rainy afternoon.
It really is a little like that. Some of these
Really?
cats can get into some scrapes.
Okay.
Cats can get a little violent.
I
but
kind of want to see this because it just sounds hilarious.
Well, they had one about penguins at one point too, didn't
Yeah.
they?
March of the Penguins.
That was a big, huge hit.
yeah, and Morgan Freeman narrated it.
Yeah,
It
that's
was
true.
great.
So
I
speaking
really-
for myself, The Last Dance is my favorite documentary about Michael
Michael
Jordan
Jordan.
and the Chicago Bulls. That one was really good.
that
But,
makes sense.
I'm
'Cause
not
you're
a
a sports guy.
It is, but I'm not a huge documentary guy either. I wonder if there's a correlation between if you like reading like nonfiction books, and
Yeah.
do you like
Oh,
watching
yeah.
documentaries?
Interesting.
Right?
That
Is
could
there
be.
something there?
That could
No.
be.
Yeah.
I personally kind of hate nonfiction books. I do like celebrity autobiographies, though. I think those are fun. And
There you go.
on that same note, the only documentaries that I actually really enjoy are like the behind the scenes of making movies. So like
Those are fun.
the most recent one I saw
Yeah.
was I had just watched The Phantom Menace, Star Wars, and then I watched the documentary about the making of that movie, and I was like, yeah, this is fun because I get to see like all the stuff like behind the scenes that you would never know. So yeah, I think those kinds of things I like, but I don't like just and historical stuff. It's kind of hit or miss because it has to be really like interesting in order for me to watch like a history documentary versus like
Yeah.
Well, and the point that you brought up about what you read, that is very interesting. I mean, I like to read books that are historically based about historical individuals, from Napoleon to Bing Crosby. I've picked them up and I've enjoyed them, but again, I don't dive into documentaries at all, rarely. So why is there that disconnect? I don't know. Why.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's worth thinking about because I really do enjoy good documentaries, but they're harder to actually want to go see. Part of it was because I was doing some work where I was reviewing some documentaries a little bit. So not for Plugged In, but it gave me an opportunity to really get to see some stuff that I never ever would have thought about seeing. The Truffle Hunters is a perfect example. If that flashed up on some sort of streaming service, I would have said, okay, let's go on to The Brain That Wouldn't Die.
Yeah.
But when I was sort of quote unquote forced to watch it, it was really delightful.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll leave it there. And just a reminder to our listeners, Focus on the Family and the Colson Center coming out with a new documentary on September 5th, Truth Rising. You can watch that premiere at truthrising.com. And let us know in the comments, are you a big documentary person? If you are, do you also like nonfiction books? So help us. We're gonna create like a study around this or
Inquiring
something like
minds
that.
would like to know.
That's
Yes,
right.
indeed.
Unlike many documentaries, we at the Plugged In Show never make mistakes.
Never.
Well, hardly ever. Okay, we make mistakes all the time, especially Paul. Let's be honest here.
Especially Paul.
Especially Paul.
Yeah, it's probably true.
So
You're the culprit.
how many mistakes do we make? Well, just listen in. What you're about to hear barely scratches the surface.
It's called Sunrise on the Reaping, and it sold more than 1.5 copies in its very first week.
1.5 copies? How do you buy a half a copy?
How do you buy a half a copy? You just rip it into...
And I'm joined again by Kristen, Emily, and you.
Wow. Wow. His name.
No, I was looking at the script and it wasn't right.
And you know what else tries to answer burning questions, Pauls?
What?
Sorry, I'll do that again. I called you Pauls.
Balls. Palsy.
Smalls.
Smalls. There you go.
I think that absolutely could be true, Paul. I mean, and I think that, I don't know what I think. So, just scratch that whole thing.
I was a comic book fan. Fanned? I was a comic book fan.
Today, we'll cover how to encourage our books to turn away from the screen and crack open a good
Our books?
Our kids.
You said books.
Our books.
Encourage our books. Although that would be interesting.
Okay, yeah.
This will give you an opportunity to laugh at my pun, too.
Okay.
If you've read our review on Mitchell's versus the Machine,
It's a hard word. Well, now it's time for a part of our show we like to call, what's it called?
Pop connection.
All right, let me try again.
No, that was funny. You should keep it.
Yeah, and I think as well when we look at specifically entertainment depictions, we see this kind of, oh, I just lost my train of thought. Hey, we should cut that.
I understand. I get it.
Sorry.
Prepackaged Christian, that's hard to say.
And I wanted to talk with you about one of them that you just reviewed that made a powerful impression on you.
Yes. It's called Out of My Mind. Out of My Mind.
Is it Out of Your Heart?
Oops. Actually, this is the sequel to Out of My Mind. I mean, it really is. No, I'll start back. It's
That was so good.
yeah.
Via the anonymity. I never could say the word anonymity. Anonymity. Okay, here we go.
And he's somewhat relatable, which makes it even more diabolical in my opinion. 'Cause- Oh, I'm so sorry. Forgot to turn off that alarm.
I was like, did they
That was
add
so
that
good,
music?
too.
Sorry, go ahead.
Two superfans, Bob Hoos and Breck Eckleberry.
Breckleberry.
Breck Eckleberry.
Yeah, we call him Breckleberry.
Breckleberry. Oh,
Oh, I've heard that before.
okay. All right. We will not subject you to that, hopefully.
And we would also like to remind you that Plugged In is a part of Focus on the Family. We are a donor-supported movie. If you have enjoyed...
Said movie.
ministry. Right. Go.
Well, we often talk about things, aimed at younger kids, but tech and stuff. But today I want to talk about Now, let's start again, because I just screwed that up. Sorry about that.
You can't start again.
Yes, I can.
That's cheating.
That's the
That is
wonder
cheating.
of recording stuff.
No. All right. And now, speaking of chat. Hi there, and welcome to the Plugged In Show.
Hello.
Can we have
wondering
more
if you
Kennedy,
would.
please?
I was wondering if you'd be able to keep going. Megan, but the E is a 3 in the title. Goodness. I'll restart that. Megan, but the 3. I'm sorry. I'm choking.
I'll try harder.
A decade later, the God's Not Dead franchise is still alive and kicking itself. Not kicking itself, but...
I wish we could keep that, because it's also still alive and kicking.
Still.
Stop kicking yourself.
Stop kicking yourself. Stop kicking.
Thanks for joining us today. And even though we've answered a lot of questions here, some of you probably have many more. We would love to hear them. And while we might not be able to answer them on the Plugged In Show, we will answer them on YouTube, on our blog, or maybe mail you an answer straight into your inbox. You can even tell us nice things, like Tuesday did.
We like those.
Yes, we do. So Tuesday wrote in to say this. I know it will not change your decision, but the Plugged In Show has been a resource for giving me the ability to listen to the podcast and get updates from my parenting while driving all over Atlanta. Since I spend so much time in the car, it makes getting the content much easier than reading it online. I love just hearing the banter and really hear the heart behind what you're saying. I'm not sure what the plan is going forward, but I know it will be missing from my parenting plan and day. I will miss you. Thanks for all the icebreakers, great conversations, and games.
That's so nice.
Thank you, Tuesday. We appreciate that. And to all of our other listeners, we've appreciated all of the comments, again, that you've sent in to encourage us, for sure. And we're, again, going to continue these conversations on YouTube and some other places as well, so stay tuned.
And we'll see you there.
For that. Yes, we'll see you there. So give us more of your questions and comments on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And be sure to join us next week for the very last episode of The Plugged In Show.